Good morning and welcome to Open Conversation on Atlantic Television Network. Open Conversation is the network's flagship political platform through which trending political news, events and stories are discussed with stakeholders. Through these conversations, ATN uses political talks about specific issues, party system and actors to explore hope and engender positive impact to the society. On Open Conversation, we look at the stories. First, Rivers Crisis. Assembly, Fubara's commissioners flex model. Still on Rivers Crisis, militant group threatens to hit oil production. On alleged sexual harassment, Senate suspends Senator Natasha Aboti-Oduaghan for 6 months. On National Assembly, reps pass bill to limit INEC's control over political parties. And on politics, First Lady backs special seats for women in Parliament bill. We are open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials: Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network; Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1; and on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll delve right into the show. Do not go away. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Open Conversation this morning, Ndamzi Ekulo Esquire. Ndamzi Ekulo is a lawyer and conflict resolution expert. Good morning, Ndamzi, and welcome.
Good morning, Chuma. Good morning, James.
And on to the story. Political crisis rocking Rivers State appears to be unending. The State House of Assembly, led by Martin Samehule, has asked Governor Simeon Fubara to sack all commissioners within 48 hours and submit a new list of nominees for appointment within the same time. The Amehule Assembly, in a letter yesterday, addressed the governor, demanded the sack of all 19 commissioners and political appointees who were not screened by them, and requested a fresh list of nominees be forwarded to the Assembly for proper screening. Amehule specifically frowned at the governor's inability to forward the name of Dagogo Iboroma for screening as Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice in the state, stating that such an appointment contravenes Section 192 subsection 2 and subsection 5, as well as Section 195 subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The letter requested that the governor submit a list of nominees for appointment as commissioners into the Rivers State Executive Council, as well as a list of nominees for appointments to fill vacancies in all offices within 48 hours. Meanwhile, the State Commissioner for Environment, Mr. Sidney Tambari, while reacting, said that the 27 lawmakers were acting on the figment of their imagination, adding that they were overstepping their bounds and heating up the polity even more. Tambari explained that all the
citizen of the state you are governing, the state is plunged into crisis, and you have a leeway of making peace, but you chose the other way. It's as a result of ego, pride. At this point, this is not what the Rivers people want. It has nothing to do with like while driving here this morning, lots of people were laying the blame on the Minister of FCT, Ian Wike, that he's the one causing crisis in the state. And I wow, why are Nigerians so bad? Why are we not reading anymore? Why are we not? See, the copy of the Constitution is just, I bought a new one yesterday for 8,800. It's affordable. And every home should have a copy of our laws. There is nothing wrong in buying a copy, keep one on your dining table so your children at all times can go through it. It pains me that our leaders don't look at the laws governing their operation. It's so annoying. So let the governor at this point initiate this process of peace. There is nothing wrong in having peace, and nobody has foreclosed every opportunities of sitting on a round table and renegotiating, even though the windows are so narrow now. But it is still doable by him taking the lead, by him obeying the Supreme Court judgment, by him obeying the laws of the land. It's all about rule of law. It's not about who is an Ikwere man or who is an Ijaw person. That's not what we are talking now. What we are saying is, what does the law say, and what has the final court in the land given as a judgment? This is it, and we will have peace once and for all in the state.
All right, very well. And still on River State crisis, militant group Niger Delta Rescue Movement has issued a directive to all non-indigens to consider their safety and leave the state as hostilities are just about to escalate. The group also declared that unless the federal government and the players involved in the crisis do the needful by sheathing their swords, the nation's oil-rich oil production will suffer if the allocation due to the state is not released in a timely manner. Recall that the Supreme Court in its judgment last Friday upheld the lower court's decision by stopping the state's allocation until a valid House of Assembly with Martin Amehule Speaker is constituted. In response to the judgment, Amehule on Monday issued a 48-hour ultimatum to Governor Siminalayi Fubara to present the 2025 budget before the House. The ultimatum expired at midnight on Wednesday. A trending video from social media platforms saw the militants numbering about 8 armed with AK-47s and other assorted rifles in an unknown forest on Thursday chanting Asawana, Asawana, a common slogan among the Ijaw people of the Niger Delta region. They said, "We, the Niger Delta Rescue Movement, wish to express our deep concern regarding the recent developments in Rivers State threatening the smooth governance of our beloved state under the leadership of Governor Siminalayi Fubara." A supposed leader of the group declared in a letter he read, "It has come to our attention that certain individuals proclaimed as lawmakers have issued a 48-hour ultimatum to the state governor to present the 2025 budget. This blatant attempt to destabilize the state is not only alarming, but also a clear attempt to coordinate an effort to incite hell, potentially leading to a state of emergency or even an impeachment. We call on President Bola Tinubu to intervene immediately and put a stop to the action of the minister, Nyesom Wike, and his associates, whose intent is to drag Rivers State to avoid a crisis. The people of Rivers State like stability, progress, and a conducive environment for governance. Furthermore, we must make it abundantly clear that the youths of Rivers State will not sit idly by while our state is dragged into tumult. If the federal allocation due to Rivers State cannot be released promptly, we will have no choice but to take decisive action, including heating oil production." The 3-minute 28-second video also showed the militants saying, "We can't generate money into the federation account without having our own share. Our workers deserve their salaries, and our government needs the necessary resources to carry out essential developmental projects. They went on to urge non-indigens to leave the state for their safety. We urge all non-indigens in River State to consider their safety and leave the state promptly as the situation may escalate. We cherish the safety of all residents and urge for a peaceful resolution to this crisis. Enough is enough. Ndamze, what do you make of this statement?
Yes, I want to react by saying that nobody, no individual or group has the lawful powers to threaten Federal Republic of Nigeria. My advice to my brothers out there is that they should seek proper advice. I think they are misinformed about what is happening. They are misinformed because the governor himself has owned up and said he will implement the Supreme Court judgment. So, whatever communication from the assembly to the governor is procedural. It is lawful. Because without the House of Assembly, the executive arm cannot function properly. So also without the judiciary, these other two arms cannot function properly. So what the assembly have just done is to advising on how government can run smoothly. It hasn't come to the point of threatening the State of Federal Republic of Nigeria, threatening to hit our oil installations. And they should not also forget that this is a budget concern here. Section 120, subsection 2 and subsection 4 of our 1999 Constitution and also section 122 of the Constitution gave a timeline wherein a governor should present budget or wherein a governor should spend on the consolidated account for a period not less than 6 months if he or she had not submitted a budget. And everybody knew what has transpired in this state for quite some time now. There have been this issue of you are invalid, you have defected, you are no more assembly member and all that. And I want to clear it for emphasis sake for my brothers, the Niger Delta militants who are threatening to blow up oil installations, that budget not submitted and you are spending from same budget, it's not just unlawful, it is a crime. The law made it a crime. So, and the Supreme Court have said, go and represent this budget. Fine. What I expect the right-thinking members of the society to be talking at this point is, please, the assembly, the 48 hours is so close because there are lots to be done in that budget. 500 pages document.
But the budget has already was presented to a fora before now.
Yes.
So the budget already is there.
No, yes, we know the
Probably
budget is there.
Some adjustments
Don't forget that this 27-man House of Assembly now haven't been validated by the court. Don't forget that when the governor made the last budget, they were not captured. Their salaries were not captured. Constituency projects were not captured, and possibly other entitlements were not captured.
And also the local government election 2025 has to be captured
as well. And don't also forget that, considering the economic realities of the time today, there will be variations.
Okay.
There will be variations. So it's not something the committee working on that budget could handle within 48 hours. So this will be a call, a plea to the Speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly and the entire Rivers State House of Assembly to please give the governor ample time to work on that document and represent it. I am very particular about the governor saying he will implement the Supreme Court judgment. And he has begun speedily by implementing the judgment on local government. In my opinion, I am duly aware about budget. I have experience about budgeting. Okay? That document, 500 pages, cannot be worked on within 48 hours. Like I said before, that's everything entitled to the assembly members and their constituents have to be captured.
But the governor can actually write the House of Assembly for extension.
Exactly. This is the area, you know, I said something, you know, earlier, that the peace in the state will be encouraged, will be gotten if the governor makes a move. If the governor strictly implements the Supreme Court judgment. But from different quarters, you hear his aides and supporters saying the governor is not willing to represent the budget. I am not towing that view. We are all watching and we are all learning. But it will be very, very unlawful and disastrous for the governor to refuse finito to representing that budget. If he does, there are constitutional implications to that.
All right. Now, still talking about the militant group threatening to hit oil production in River State. Now, it appears that this River State crisis is beginning to take ethnic coloration. Because now this Asawana is usually an Ijaw slogan, you know, and all of that. And it appears that it is taking an ethnic coloration, and you know there are threats of violence. The Ijaw National Congress has come out to threaten. The Ijaw Youth Congress have come out to threatening, and they are threatening violence. In fact, if I may quote Professor Okaba of INC, he said that they will defend Fubara with the last pint of their blood. Now that statement is self-explanatory, right? It has all the colorations of violence. It appears this is dangerously taking ethnic coloration. Now, the concern is this: why can't these groups tell the governor obey the law? Like, you have pledged to obey the law. Obey the law. And why is it necessary, you know, these threats, ethnic coloration of political crisis, is it necessary?
Thank you. You see, ethnic bigotry, it's a major challenge in this part of our world. And here in Nigeria, we tend to bring in ethnicity into politics, which is very, very wrong. It is wrong. It is totally unacceptable. By this generation, we stand to refuse that. Ethnicity shouldn't play a role when it comes to leadership. If you submit yourself to lead a people, you must lead according to the rule of law. You coming from a particular ethnic has nothing to do with that seat. The seat of a governor is a highly exalted position, guided and protected by the laws of the land. So anybody who is coming to attain that position must have pledged, even before coming, that he or she will do the rule of law. And we hear them during electionary campaign assuring us that, oh, we will do this, we will do this, we will uphold the law. Even during their swearing in, they swore to uphold the law. So why is it very difficult for my dear governor to uphold the law? So the militants threatening, they should please. They shouldn't bring in, from the angle they are coming, you see that.
When you see, are you begging?
No, we are letting them know that no section, no group, no individual can threaten Federal Republic of Nigeria. Nigeria is bigger than them. Nigeria is bigger than Governor Fubara. Nigeria is bigger than any group or individual. So what we are looking at is peace and the way forward. So moving forward today, and I'm very happy that the INC is being led by a professor, a highly educated man who ordinarily should look at the rule of law and advise people around him instead of engaging in talking tough.
So why are you happy then? When
I am happy. See,
when no, hold on. Is that not making a caricature and a ridicule? but then it is what it is. Is that not making a caricature and a ridicule of professorial title in quote? Because I'm beginning to question a lot of things and how people get the qualifications they get, you know. Because when you look at, he said he is a professor, because that's the way I'll put it. Sorry, he said he's a professor, and yet allowed emotions in the face of Supreme Court judgments, the final arbiter, right? And you're saying we will defend Fubara to be the last pint of my blood. Now, while that on one hand, but one would expect that you will call on your son, because now it has ethnic coloration, as a father, right? More experienced, probably more educated and more enlightened. You call on your son that this is what it is. The state has to be governed with laws in line with the same law that gave you the power to operate as a governor, right? So why can't you abide by that law? Now, it's a different ballgame if Governor Fubara submits himself to the law and now there is a winch hunt. It's a different ballgame. Then when statements are coming, one will be like, probably. But in this instance, there is no one single call by these people encouraging the governor to obey the rule of law. So are we encouraging anarchy? I'm asking this question because this is a professor so-called speaking. Are we encouraging anarchy? Are we encouraging lawlessness? You know, so happy the professor going by his title, you know, it's the leader of INC. And INC is making threats, is making threats and, you know, using strong language. And is pushing for anarchy, using ethnic coloration. So how come you're happy?
Happy simply means the man who is encouraging the making of this threat is a professor, highly exalted professor in his professorial status. If I were some of these institutions that dish out these professorial chairs and whatever, we will withdraw or retrieve lots of chairs. See, are they not the professors rigging elections for us in Nigeria? They have done it on several occasions. We saw what happened during the time of Goodluck. A professor claimed not to be seeing the result he was declaring. We saw it happen here in Nigeria. So whether he's a professor or he's a doctor shouldn't come to play here. That's why I said I am happy that the man who is saying that is a prof. So the world is watching, the world is looking at him. A professor who should be a sign or an encouragement to his pupils and people around him. People around him should see him like, oh, with this man here we are covered. And he should guide the boys making the threat instead of talking tough, telling the world they will do this, they will do that, they will defend Fubara at all costs. When the highest court of the land have made a pronouncement, what we expected the professor to say is, Fubara, please look at the laws and do the rule of law in the interest of peace in Rivers State. I was so disappointed also some days ago. I watched on TV when a highly exalted chief, Saraigbe, made some threats. I said, wow, These are people we respect so much in Niger Delta. Why are they descending so low because of these issues? Issues they should look at squarely and speak the truth. They now arrogate it to E.M. Wike, that Wike is the one causing problem. I asked someone yesterday, the local government matter that got to the Supreme Court, Wike caused that one too, right?
Interesting.
That's what I asked him. One of Fubara's aide, who is my friend, I wouldn't want to mention his name. I asked him, we were together last night. I said, he brought up the issue. We are drinking and talking, and I asked him, so the matter that also got to the Supreme Court that led to nullification of local government election, Wike also has a hand in that, or Wike also took that one to court. I mean, it's high time we see reasons with what is happening in Rivers State. What is happening in Rivers State is just that people are so deceived. How many of us have asked for our expenditures? How many have asked for the inflow of cash received? Nobody is talking. Nothing much is happening in the state as far as I'm concerned. The major project going on in this state is the Ring Road project. What has happened to the schools? Schools that Amechi built, Wike gave them a touch. The health centers littered everywhere. I visited one some days ago, and the facilities are dilapidating. But we have a state that receives billions in allocation and gets billions in internal revenue. Nobody is talking. All we are concerned is crisis, crisis, crisis. No, I think these guys are using this crisis to, remove our eyes from what is happening. But I refuse to remove my eyes from what is happening. We are tracking what is happening in Rivers State, and at the right time, the right questions will be asked. So, leaders out there should govern according to the rule of law. If you know that you will not do the rule of law, don't join politics. Don't seek for positions. Stay aside and watch. You want to govern a state, you should be prepared to know the law, you should be prepared to do the law, and you should be prepared to obey the law when the court speaks.
All right, very well. Nigerian Senate on Thursday suspended Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan for 6 months over an allegation of sexual harassment against the Senate President, Godswill Obot Akpabio. The suspension followed a report by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions submitted to the Committee of the Whole, citing several infractions on the rules and orders of the Senate. The committee chairman, Senator Imasuen Neda Bernard, representing Edo South Senatorial District, submitted that the committee carried out an investigation on Wednesday, during which the female lawmaker was afforded the opportunity to state her own side of the story. Detailing the proceedings of the committee's investigative hearing, he said testimonies were taken to ascertain the truth or otherwise of the allegation raised by the respondent in line with the mandate of the committee. Senator Neda recalled that on Wednesday last week, the respondent caused chaos and a rowdy session when she refused a seat assigned to her and engaged in a shouting match in discordance with the relevant provisions of the rules and orders of the Senate. He said the unfortunate development was testified to by Senator Raphael Adeyemi Adaramodu when he appeared before the panel on Wednesday to defend his petition against Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. The committee chairman maintained that Senator Natasha was formally invited for investigation following the referral of a petition against her to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions. In his contribution, Senator Jimo Ibrahim Folorunsho, representing Ondo South Senatorial District, expressed concern over the conduct of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, insisting that the Senate as an institution must be protected at all costs. Jimo said, "This institution is not about an individual. We have rules to regulate our activities. If we breach our own rules, the executive will not come here to enforce them, and I must commend the committee for the succinct report to the Senate. The Chief Whip of the Senate, Mohammed Monguno, in reference to the provision of the Constitution, maintained that it is only in the animal kingdom that there are no rules and regulations, insisting that the Senate will outlive everyone, hence the institution's rules must be protected. The minority leader of the Senate, Abamoro, pleaded for mercy and a mitigation option. His submission was a reflection of all PDP senators in the Senate. In pleading for mercy, Moro recommended a 3-month suspension, which he said was enough for the embattled lawmaker to realize her mistakes. He further argued that Nigerians are watching and seeing them as statesmen. Hence, nothing should be done to bring disrepute to the chamber. After the contributions were made by some senators from the dominant and minority parties, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, in his remarks, said, "The senator we are talking about is the wife of my very close friend and brother. On the day of her marriage, I slept in their house in the year 2020, and when I was about to leave, I missed my flight at Obajana Airstrip, and I slept at Dangote Cement," he stated. The suspension for 6 months was sustained by the Senate President after a voice vote. Part of the resolutions include that she will surrender all National Assembly properties, her security details will be withdrawn, and the sergeant at arms will seal her office immediately so that she will not have access to it. Ndamzi, what do you make of this development in Natasha Akpabio's story?
Honestly, what is happening in the Senate these days is it's so disappointing. Nigerians sent them there to make laws for the country, for the development, peace, security of the country, but they have turned our red chambers to a place of joke. Yes, a place of joke. You see, this Natasha and Akpabio thing, it's something Nigerians should be very wary and careful about, because these are family friends. They have known each other for a very long time, and the huge blame should go on Natasha, because yeah, the huge blame, because of, why would you make a house simply because your chair was changed? Possibly your sitting position was changed. I have friends who are in National Assembly. Some are in various states' House of Assembly. Some have been councillors in their various local governments. Okay, and we have had interactions since this whole brouhaha began. And some have said that in their sessions, you may come to plenary today and you see that your name is tagged somewhere else. So I asked a former House of Reps member yesterday who had this discussion with me. Incidentally, he's also a lawyer with Mfera, and we are having a chit chat. So he told me that when he was in the House, that he had such experience before. Not just him alone, some other persons. You can, come today, you are tagged to be in the front, and the next time you are tagged somewhere. So I asked him, why? Why do they do that? Do you know what he answered? That they do it because they do not want so much familiarity with lawmakers, so that the debating, the lawmaking process will be fair. And so when he said that, I saw some reasons in that. But that notwithstanding, whether or not that be the case, Natasha also ought to have studied the rules of the Senate. That's why I told you, our leaders these days, they find it difficult to flip the pages of the law. I don't know whether they do actually read the newspapers. So many people in Nigeria have just relied on social media to garner information, which is very wrong. I don't rely on social media. As a lawyer, maybe I could just see headlines on social media. I would do my research. You need to dig deep. to know what actually is the issue. Because as a public figure, you could just be called upon anywhere. People can see you anywhere. Like, that's what people do to me. They can see me anywhere and they're like, oh, barrister, that I have been looking for you. Please, on this occasion, I will just jokingly say, but you know you need to pay me my consultation fee. So people need to be aware. You are a senator, haven't been elected a senator of Federal Republic. You have your rules. You have your rules. Why not study and master your rules? Knowing that at some point your sitting position may be changed.
But one would say that, you know, prior to this plenary, there has been a court order, you know, to the effect like barring, making some restrictions on the Senate House, but they still went ahead with that decision. One would say, can the court, in the instance, you know, does court order apply in this particular scenario?
The court order will not apply. I watched the session yesterday. I watched when the distinguished Senator Akpabio asked Natasha a question. Whether this matter, is it in any court of law?
And she said no.
Natasha replied and said no. So at that point, even though the matter has been instituted in any court of law, it won't hold water there. Natasha has publicly told the Senate and also told the world that the matter is in no court of law.
They can act.
So on that grounds, the Senate can move ahead and receive the petition. If Natasha has said the matter is already in court, the Senate wouldn't have received that petition. It will be treated a different in a different direction.
Would that suspension still hold?
Like I said, her response led to further action of that committee.
She has said that matter is
yes, is already in court. Possibly there would be a hold.
Which means they wouldn't have received
the petition,
and then probably she
will still have a seat. But I must say, to the admiration of Nigerians and also for the purpose of our listening viewers, the 6 months suspension, in my opinion and view, it's very, very outrageous. Very outrageous. This is a senator who is representing a senatorial district. If you deny her that representation for 6 months, you are invariably saying that that particular senatorial district is not in Nigeria. So, and don't forget also, Natasha has the right to fair hearing. Section 36 of the Constitution allows her right to fair hearing.
But they said they notified her. She didn't come.
Even in courts.
She said she did not appear disciplinary committee.
Even in court, when you do not appear,
you have two more times.
Exactly. Let's assume you are a witness or you are a party to a suit, and the court needs your presence to either lead you in evidence and all that, and you are not there. The court will give you an ample time. Who knows if the reason she didn't appear when they wanted her was as a result of her health? Who knows if it was as a result of other genuine reasons? So
you say in Natasha's case, there was no fair hearing?
No, there was no fair hearing at all. That's ethics and the privileges committee need to revisit whatsoever decision they have taken.
The second question I want to ask you, Barrister Ndamzi. Akpabio presided over the plenary that heard a matter concerning him. Was that right? Should he have presided over that plenary?
Yes.
When this matter came up, why didn't he step down for his deputy to handle the plenary?
I was going to come to that, but thank you for bringing that question up. Nemo Judas in Kazaswa, you cannot be a judge
and jury
in your own matter. So, see, our system is bad. God helping us, we will get out of the woods. Okay, because Nigerians are beginning to be aware by the day. If it were in an organized crime, a leader, just mere accusation, number third citizen in this country is being accused of sexual harassment. Whether or not he did or not, there is nothing wrong in, okay, Nigerians, I did not do this. For the purpose of this investigation, I am stepping aside. Investigate me. I will submit myself for investigation. Investigate this process. If I am given a clean bill of health, I will come back to my seat. It is not about quitting the position of the Senate President.
Just stepping aside.
Step aside, allow the investigation to run through. Senator Saraki did it in this country. We are all here in Nigeria. When Senator Saraki was accused of corruption, he stepped aside to be investigated. And he went through all the code of conduct, wahala and all that, and finally he came out. So what we are saying is, Akpabio sitting there receiving petition
on his matter
is laughable. I believe the international community will be laughing at us by now. They'll be laughing at us because you can do that. We are all here when President Bill Clinton was accused, when Monica Lewinsky, did her thing and dished out evidence. Clinton was already going. Clinton was about to leave until he apologized to Americans and confessed his sins. That led him to having a second term. So there is nothing wrong in Akpabio leaving. Look, I'm submitting myself to the Ethics and Privileges Committee. Investigate this matter. Because at this point, Natasha is only accusing him. And don't forget, he that alleges must prove.
The burden of proof is on the...
So the burden of proof is on Natasha to prove to the Ethics Committee that this actually happened. But now, you can see the hasty action. The decision, in my opinion, is very hasty.
Now, talking about the decision and being hasty, do you think this was a move by the Senate to stifle Natasha's voice, to silence her? Hopefully within these 6 months, this matter will blow over, because there is something that is very characteristic of Nigeria. We have breaking news literally every day. So when an issue comes up, give it time. If you're quiet about it and you don't, you just give it time, other issues will definitely come up that will push this one to the back burner and it will be forgotten. Right? So is the Senate hoping that this 6 months, within this 6 months period, a lot would have happened, and probably this issue will be pushed to the back burner. It will be allowed to die a natural death. Now, there is a caveat to that suspension, and that caveat is that she has to apologize. Now, if Natasha chooses to apologize, it means that she has accepted that that was a false accusation.
We said something before. When you are elected to a hallowed chamber like the Senate, they are guided by rules of conduct. And also, we have the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is the ground norm to whatever rules, whatever act of parliament, whatever bills from the various houses of assembly, and whatever executive order, name it whatever. The Constitution is the mother of all, and none can surpass the Constitution. The Constitution has said that every senatorial district in Nigeria must be represented by a senator. Must, not shall. Represented by a senator.
Now, that House rule suspending a senator. Now, there was a video I saw online where the now First Lady, Senator Remi Tinubu, was talking to another senator, and there were threats of suspension, and that senator called her to order and told her that I will not tolerate that from you. You are my colleague, you are a senator, you cannot suspend me. Now, can you suspend it? Because I think we need to now look at the ground norm, as it were. can you suspend an elected member of the House? Can you suspend? Because I know that in the legislative arm of government, it's a recall that happens, and it will happen by the constituency. Senator Natasha is not a senator by the mandate of the Senate, as it were. It is on the mandate of her people. Now, can she be suspended from plenary? Can her people be denied a representation in the House because of the House rule? Would you say that this House rule that has empowered committees or the Senate to suspend a sitting and elected senator from representing his or her constituency, would you say it is consistent with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
Thank you very much. We will speak the law because the Constitution is supreme. Section 1 of the Constitution said it clearly that this Constitution is supreme. You see, I said something before. The rules of Senate cannot be bigger than the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I will say it to the hearing of our listening viewers that the issue of suspension we hear all the time in Senate. When people speak out, when people tell Nigerians, when senators criticize their moves and show to Nigerians...
Shehu Sani almost escaped it with the help of Sarah.
Show to Nigerians the ills going on in the Senate. They will suspend the person. I can't remember his name. The one who accused the Federal Republic of Nigeria of padding the budget up to the tune of 3 trillion. Ordinarily, what Nigerians expected the Senate to do was to set up an investigative committee and investigate that accusation. That's a very grave accusation. But they never did. They went ahead and suspended him.
We also have the case of Aline Dume.
They went ahead and suspended. So that is to say that this suspension thing is becoming a norm.
Suspended Aline Dume for speaking out. Go ahead.
So this suspension thing is becoming a norm in the Senate, but it's unlawful.
It's unlawful, yes.
It's unlawful because the Constitution clearly says that every senatorial district must be represented. If you suspend me simply because I spoke out, that's unlawful.
And in Natasha's case, suspension without pay and withdrawal of all her security details.
See, suspending her without her salary is unconstitutional.
Okay.
Even though for want of anything, we justify the suspension.
She broke the House rules.
By breaking the House rules. Yes, we agree in every organization there are internal mechanisms, there are internal rules. But that does not mean that internal
it will infringe on her rights.
Infringe on her rights. Her earning her salary is her right. It's a fundamental right and it is inalienable. Withdrawing her security aids, and also they went ahead to wanting to deny the aids their salaries, if not for the intervention of distinguished Senator Ojus Okalo, who intervened, and the distinguished Senator Ned Woko, who supported the intervention. I mean, denying the aides their salary, you would have denied so many families food. So, the issue of suspending senators simply because they called the Senate president, that is, Natasha accused the Senate president in an organized crime that will even be a yardstick for investigation.
One would say, if it was a personal matter, it would have been different. One would say, yeah, Senator Natasha, you're a beautiful woman and men will always come for you. But Natasha's issue, when she was speaking, was not the fact that probably, according to her, the Senate president allegedly come on to her. But the problem, according what she said is it's now beginning to affect her legislative functions. And she's feeling that the Senate president, according to her, you know, has been speaking to her in a denigrating manner, and has also denied her of certain opportunities because of her refusal, in quotes, to make him happy, in quotes, right? Now, while she spoke up, one would say she spoke up because it is directly affecting her job, you know, as the representative of the Kogi people, the Kogi people that she is representing. That's on one hand. The Senate, on the other hand, one could say, okay, they are acting on the House rules now. But one would say that the punishment is harsh. The timing, I mean, the length of time probably is more like stifling Natasha probably before this blows over, and giving her that length of time, she would have to apologize in order to access the chambers, the Senate House again, and represent her people. That's why I asked, is this lawful? If it is not lawful, how come this practice has been sustained in the legislative arm of government? And interestingly, the arm of government that makes laws for the country, the arm of government that is responsible for the constitution of the country. So the arm of government that is making the law right now are seen to be acting unlawfully, because suspending is an elected, that's why I'm asking that question, it's just like suspending a governor, right? Or yes, it's just like suspending, or can one say, okay, we are suspending the president, because they are all elected, they are all elective positions.
Thank you very much. I was privileged to see the petition. Okay, and to me, in my own opinion, as a lawyer, having read that petition, I didn't really see much. I wouldn't want to discuss details of the petition because it is referred to the ethics committee, but I have been privileged to read through the petition. Okay, I didn't see much. But my concern here is this. The Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria stipulates 109 senatorial districts in Nigeria. And it went ahead to say that every of the districts must have a senator representing that people in that district. Senate rule can never be bigger than our Constitution. Senate rule, I repeat again, can never be bigger than our Constitution, and I will encourage Natasha to challenge that act in court. Even though I have my reservations for her for acting unruly, her actions, but that notwithstanding, in legislative houses, there are bound to be disagreements. Few days ago, a senator in the United States shouted on the president. The Senate, the American Congress never suspended him. The American Congress never stopped his salary. The American Congress never withdrew his aids and security. The American Congress never asked their sergeant in arms to lock his office. What they just did is to ask him out of plenary. That does not foreclose that the man will not come to plenary the next day. So what are we trying to say? Nigerian Constitution is supreme and bigger than whatever rule, whatever law, whatever act, whatever executive order, whatever Senate policy, whatever. They should stop this gagging of people who speaks out, people who tells us the truth of what is happening. And I have one reservation in what happens in Senate. If I have my way to the Senate one day, I will encourage the fact that proper voting should be done in Senate. They are not voting. You will hear the Senate president say from inception, not from Akpabio alone. From 1999, this is what they say. If you are in support of this, say nay. If you are in support of this, say aye. Most times you hear one voice say aye, and you see nay, you say I have it. That is wrong. That's not how We watch the American lawmakers, we watch the UK parliament, you see proper debates. They debate on issues, and sometimes they do broadcasting.
Okay.
So why can't we do proper legislative business? Not this nay. How do you determine who voted and supported the motion? So Nigerian Senate they really need to wake up. This is a wake-up call, and it is a lesson for both Natasha, for both Akpabio, and also we Nigerians that are learning from them.
All right. Now, by the dint of Section 21 of Legislative Houses, Powers and Privileges Act, a senator cannot be suspended beyond 14 days.
So
this is their act. Section 21 of Legislative Houses, under Powers and Privileges Act, a senator cannot be suspended beyond 14 days. So I am trying to make it make sense how there is a constitution, there is a provision according to the Legislative Houses Powers and Privileges Act that stipulates suspension not beyond 14 days. That's 2 weeks. And the Senate in this instance is breaking that law by extending it by 5 months and 2 weeks, extra 5 months and 2 weeks. You can go ahead before I cite other judgments by the judgment by the court.
Nigerians are standing by you, and we are encouraging you to challenge the action of the Senate in court. It is a subject of litigation, and the courts can assume jurisdiction on that matter and hear it on its entirety. You cannot violate the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, no matter how highly placed you are. Even the Senate committee erred completely. They acted on malice. Their action showed pure malice. That action is geared towards caging the Nigerian woman, and it is very, very wrong. We have them in the Senate, about 4 of them, and you want to cage one, even though her acts, her conduct in the Senate was not proper, she could be cautioned, considering the fact that she's a first-timer in the Senate who may not have understood their working procedures. And there is nothing wrong. Like I watched distinguished Senator Kingibe, you know, on a rise some days, just a day after that incident, when the Kingibe woman was talking about how she took Natasha like a daughter. She has been guiding Natasha on things and all that, considering the fact that they were there before the election tribunal brought in Natasha. So it's encouraging. There is nothing wrong in, you know, she haven't acted, you know, wrongly. They conduct themselves and say, oh, distinguished Senator Natasha, please, we are referring you to so rule in our Senate rules. This is what the rule says, that our seats can be changed at some point. There's nothing wrong in doing that. We are in an organized society. We are in a constitutional democracy. We shouldn't act anarchical. We shouldn't act unlawful. We shouldn't put up acts that are unbecoming of leaders. That's the point we are trying to make. These are Nigerian leaders. These are people we are looking up to give us effective representation. We didn't send them to the Senate to act drama like the Nollywood do. That is a red chamber, the highest lawmaking body in the land, and should be treated with high level decorum.
All right. Now, to a large extent, you remember the case of Omar Agege, you know, who was suspended for 90 days because he angered the Senate leadership. I think that happened on April 13, and subsequently there was a judgment in favor of Omar Agege, right? And the ruling also stipulated that you cannot suspend a sitting senator beyond 14 days. You understand? Go ahead.
Let Natasha, like I reiterated before, approach the courts and she will be given justice. Like I'm very particular when she was leaving the house yesterday. She made a comment. She said this injustice will not stand, and I stand by her. And I believe so many Nigerians out there will stand by her. The Senate House has become a place of ridicule. It shouldn't be like that. That hallowed chamber should be a place wherein if you're not there, you're walking close. You should feel power. But today they have turned there to a place of ridicule, a place where bags of dollars speaks and nothing more. I mean, it's very wrong what we are facing in the country. It's very wrong. On the local level, we don't have it right. On the center, we don't have it right. On the top-notch echelon, it's becoming the worst. I mean, I don't know.
All right.
Nigerians need to wake up. We need to wake up and properly examine the people we vote into offices.
All right, very, very well. To a large extent, I mean, there are so many decisions that have been taken by legislative house that I would have loved to delve into, but for lack of time, probably in my other edition, in subsequent edition of Open Conversation, I'm going to critically x-ray, how Senate has conducted itself in stifling its members, in actually violating the Constitution, the law that is guiding the Senate House. Apparently, this case of Natasha Apoti is going to open up a lot of old wounds. It's going to open up a lot of issues. And as an investigative journalist, we pride ourselves here on in-depth analysis. We'll keep you educated and updated on issues as they happen, particularly in respect of this saga between Senator Natasha Apoti-Oduaghan and the Senate President, Godswill Obot Akpabio. Thank you so much, Ndamzi, for coming. It's a pleasure having you here today.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much, our viewers, for always staying connected to us. And this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Open Conversation. We are open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, and on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Do not forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. I am Laurentia Ugu. Transition News comes up next. Do not go away.
The board, management and staff of Morrison Media Group presents the 2025 anniversary lecture of Atlantic Television Network and Wish 99.5 FM. Theme: Imperative of Private Media in Sustainable Development.
Keynote speaker, Professor Tony Iradia, erudite scholar and broadcaster.